B lymphocyte and T lymphocytes, they originate from bone marrow, and B lymphocyte mature in the bone marrow, and during antigen independent maturation, that means B cells do not encounter any antigen in the bone marrow. Okay, so the immunocompetent B cell expressing membrane IgM and IgD are generated in the bone marrow, and only 10% of potential B cells reach maturity and exit the bone marrow. However, these, we call them naive now B cells, and they patrol the body, and these naive B cells in the periphery die in few days unless they encountered antigen and activated T cell. So it is very important for B cell to encounter an antigen. And actually B cell here, this is the stromal cell of the bone marrow. So here through their membrane bound auto antibodies, they interact with cells in the milieu of the bone marrow. If they showed autoreactivity, they will be killed by apoptosis, and actually this is known as negative selection, and only well-educated B cells are allowed to go outside from the bone marrow to patrol the body, and actually during their circulation they enter secondary lymphoid organs, so they originate and mature in the primary lymphoid organ, which is the bone marrow, but however as the periphery they enter secondary lymphoid organ, and as you know that this is the lymph node, and also spleen is a secondary lymphoid. Lymph node and spleen, these are secondary, and as can be seen here, there is a lymph node and these afferent lymphatics, efferent lymphatics. As a periphery here, as the outermost of the cortex, we find B cell area, and then here there is T cell area, and they usually encounter an antigen here because antigens are bacteria or whatever, any antigens are trapped to the either lymph node if they are tissue borne, or to the spleen if they are blood borne. So here, when they encounter the antigen or the non-self or bacteria, whatever, they interact with the T cells, as can be seen here, and this results in formation of antibodies here. And these antibodies, if they did not encounter any antigen, they will die in very few days. So the loss of immune tolerance, this we call it immune tolerance. So B cell get education in the bone marrow in order not to attack body tissue. Okay, this we call it immune tolerance, and it is achieved by negative selection. Only educated B cells exit bone marrow and patrol the body. So the loss of immune tolerance, increased antigenic load, and excess T cell help, and it will result in defective B cells, and it will result also of shifting of T helper 1 to T helper 2, and this is actually very dangerous, as SLE is a T helper disease, or it is an antibody mediated disorder. So this will lead to actually loss of tolerance to B cell hyperactivity, and also in turn will lead to production of pathogenic antibodies. So, and now I will just also show you the immune, as I mentioned, immune dysregulation by loss of tolerance of B lymphocyte. This we explain now. Now I am going to explain the T cell tolerance. Tolerance means unresponsiveness to self tissues, to self antigens, to self organs. So T cells originate from bone marrow. However, when they originate from bone marrow, they are CD3 positive and CD8 negative. This is precursor of T cytotoxic, and CD4 negative, and this is a precursor of T helper cell. And the TCR, it is only beta and pre-alpha, premature. So when they enter the thymus gland, why T lymphocytes migrate from bone marrow to thymus gland? They migrate from bone marrow to thymus gland for maturation, for development of a repertoire. Development of a repertoire means that they express unique receptors for different antigens or pathogens in the environment even before they encounter that environment. Okay? Third, they get an education. How do they get education? Thymus gland, it looks like a school. So T lymphocytes, they come here. T lymphocytes, they come to thymus to get education. As the cortex, this is calf section. Okay, these are trabeculae. This is the capsule of the thymus gland. So immature T cells, they enter through high endothelial venules as immature and interact with the thymic epithelial cells. These thymic epithelial cells express major histocompatibility class 1, major histocompatibility class 2. So if these immature cells reacted with major histoclass 2, they will get differentiated into CD4. If they interacted with major histocompatibility class 1, they will get differentiated into T cytotoxic or CD4. And this is here, at this stage, they should recognize the major histocompatibility class 1 and 2 as self. And this is known as positive selection, and to ensure major histocompatibility restriction. So they should in the future time interfere with non-self or with pathogen in association with major histocompatibility. However, now this is the first lesson. They got it, and that failed to get this lesson, or that thymocytes failed to recognize this major histocompatibility molecules, they will be killed by apoptosis. And so here, but however, the positively selected, this we call it, they go deep, okay, and then they interact with macrophage and dendritic cell, and now they can see the body antigens. So these cells here in the thymus gland, dendritic cells and macrophage, they present body antigens, antigens of the heart, antigen of the muscle, antigen upon any antigen in your body except two antigens. They don't present it. Antigen is BAMS and cornea. So the immune system should not see its BAMS, should not see the cornea. But however, these cells now, they can see antigens from all tissue of the body. And here, if they recognize the self-antigen as self, and if they recognize it, the self-antigen in association also with major histocompatibility, self-major histocompatibility, they will be saved. But if they fail to recognize the self-antigens, they will be killed by apoptosis, and this is known as negative selective selection. Negative selection for insurance of self-tolerance. So only 5% of T lymphocytes exit the thymus gland, and around 95% of thymocytes arrive to thymus will be killed by apoptosis. So, however, in some instances, some autoreactive T cells may escape, and some autoreactive T cells they express some cluster of differentiation. It is known as cluster of differentiation number 25, and they become a regulatory T cells. So negative and positive selection ensures self-tolerance, tolerance to self-antigens encountered in the thymus is thereby achieved by elimination or eliminating T cells that are reactive to self-antigen. So positive and negative selection of thymocytes result in mature T cells, as can be seen here, are both self MHC restricted and self tolerant. And as you know that SLE is hypersensitive reaction type 3, because immune complexes in case of systemic lupus erythematosus are circulating immune complexes, and they are not membrane bound immune complexes. Thank you very much, Professor Ahmed Bolad.